Jono, welcome to the Side Hustle Show.
Hey, how you going? Thanks for having me.
You bet. So I was really excited when Jono reached out. He said, "Hey, I bought a laundromat as a side hustle a year and a half ago, and that was a fun experiment in itself. But in that time, he's tripled the revenue from that business. So now he's increased his monthly cash flow from it, but also tripled the value of the asset that he purchased. So we're excited to dive into the hows, the whys, the whos that all went into making this happen. But maybe you can kick us off with your inspiration to get started. What made you say, look, I need a side hustle and I need a side hustle as a laundromat owner?
Yeah, thanks. Well, basically, it was about a year and a half ago now. I've been investing since I was in my late 20s. Started with stocks and was lucky enough to go and invest in some property with my mum. And then I wanted to diversify and started looking at businesses. I have a goal. I want to choose how much of my time I give to people for money by the time I'm 40. That's my investment goal. So I based my strategy around looking for a business around that. And I was able to form a criteria that met what I'm currently doing. So it needed to be relatively hands off. It needed to be non consolidated. I didn't want to be competing with big box companies. And I needed to be able to add value through technology and my skills. And a laundromat really fit that bill.
Interesting. How many years do you have left before 40, before the timeline is up here?
I'm 31 and a half. So I've
Oh
got
gosh, you
a
got
fair
time. You got
chunk of
plenty of
time to
time.
go.
For me, that milestone birthday just hit earlier this year, so I'm like, okay, that's why I asked.
Congratulations.
I don't know if it's a congratulation. People would be like, "Hey, happy birthday, congrats!" Like, oh, it's a big one. I don't know if I want to talk about it. But that's okay. So that's a great goal. I want to make work optional by the time I'm 40 through a variety of different investments and time leveraged cash flows, and a laundromat kind of checked that box. Like, well, here's something that you mentioned is relatively hands off. We'll talk about. I mean, it's a money making machine. The machines do the work for you in a lot of ways. You got to have the there's maintenance involved, all that jazz. Where can I add value? And we'll talk about the unique skill sets that you brought to the table, where maybe this was somewhat of an undervalued asset. And then the third element that you mentioned was it had to be, somewhat of a fragmented market. I don't want to compete with national brands. I don't want to compete with, big box conglomerates, right? And so I thought that was an interesting element as well. So you decide, yes, a laundromat is it. This is going to be my next side hustle experiment. What happens next? How do you happen to find one that's not too far away from you, is my understanding.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I basically was scrolling through TikTok, and that led to Googling how to buy a laundromat, where to buy a laundromat. And one of the first ones that sort of popped up on an aggregator site that I was looking at was in Northcote, which is not too far from where I live. And it was seemed to be in the right price range. And I started to look into how do you actually buy a business. Started reaching out to friends, reached out to the actual ad to ask about the business and the process, and
Okay.
got started from there.
So in the States, it would be sites like Biz Buy Sell and stuff like that. Is it similar in Australia?
Yeah, we have a website called, I think it's called Business Sales or Seek Business, maybe.
Okay.
So that's one of the aggregator sites, but there are many. There are probably like five or six, and they all have the same ads on them.
Okay. So you can look up, businesses for sale near me and see what pops up. These are typically valued on, a multiple of annual net income. I understand. And so I was like, well, how much does something like this cost if you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah, so mine cost 83,000 is what I paid. It had 4 years left on the lease, so yeah, I mean it works out to about 2 year multiple based on that. But yeah, it can range. I imagine that there would be other laundromat businesses that were performing much better than the one that I bought that had longer leases that would probably be selling on a larger multiple.
So you'd prefer to have more years left on that lease because when that expires, that's kind of a wild card if you're going to be able to renew, if you're going to be able to renew at favorable terms.
More that it's a bit harder to move a laundromat than it is another brick and mortar store. You know, if you sell shoes and your lease runs out, then you can rent the shop next door and just move your shoe boxes into the storeroom. If you have a laundromat and your lease runs out, you've got, you know, 20 odd washing machines and dryers, but you can't just cart them next door and put them in the ground. You need plumbing and that sort of stuff.
Okay,
The
so
security of a lease is kind of important in a laundromat deal.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. So if it's expiring in 6 months to a year, like that kind of makes you a little bit nervous. You want to have maybe that's part of the due diligence is reaching out to the landlord and saying like, hey, what's the relationship like? What's the situation here going to be going forward? If they would be forthcoming with that information.
I think so. I think also the first deal is always going to be the hardest because I know that I'll look for a second deal and I've got runs on the board when it comes to running a laundromat. So if the current owner, you know, isn't invested or isn't running the business well, I can come in and say, well, look, I've got this place in Northgate. I've been running it for 2 years. Here's what I've been able to do in that time, and give them the confidence to sort of say, all right, well, he's going to be a good tenant. There are law in Australia, at least there are laws that protect you. So if you buy a business, the landlord can't reject you outright. They need to have a valid reason.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, so the sticker price is 83 grand, which represents a roughly 2 year multiple on the income from the business. So let's call it 40 grand a year. These are Australian dollars for the sake of reference.
yeah,
Okay, so at press time, 70 cents to USD roughly. So just to get a sense of what we're working with here, what might be available locally if you do go down this path for your own side hustle. What happens next in terms of due diligence? Like, how do you verify the books? Like, a lot of it is cash or quarters in the machine, right? Or how do you figure out is it really making what the guy says it is?
yeah. So I sort of cowboyed that one. I sat in the store and for 3 or 4 hours at a time, counted how many customers came in, counted how much they spent on the machine, and we did it different times of the day over like a 2 week period. And then a friend of mine and I sort of worked off a number that we generated based on that usage, and then extrapolated that over 12 months. And that was our estimate at what he was making.
Okay, so you arrived. So, like, yeah, these based on what we're witnessing firsthand, these seem reasonable. It seems like it'll add up.
Yeah, well, it wasn't what he had. We were just like, well, based on our observations, this is what we assume they are making. And then we worked backwards to say, well, this is what we assume that we would generate if we made X, Y, and Z improvements. Like if this is the bottom, if this is our bottom, this is based on the business how it's currently running now, we would make this improvement, this improvement, this improvement, and it would generate
Yeah.
plus 10, plus 20 based on our assumptions.
Okay. And did that adjust? Did you bring that to the negotiation table?
No, not really. Honestly, we put in an offer based on what we thought was a fair price. I actually sort of undershot, and we got it first go. It's a very unique process. I don't think this would have happened for many people.
Okay. Yeah, I've never bought a business, and I've only sold one, so it's always curious to see. Well, what gave you the confidence to plunk down that kind of cash, and was it? Does it have to be a cash deal? Is there financing programs?
So mine was 20,000 of my own money, and the rest was a bank loan, and that bank loan was anchored by equity in an existing property. But I mean, $70,000 or $80,000 isn't unattainable. I would always stress that if you can get the right terms on a loan, use the bank's money. Because if we look at like 12 months down the track, I've put 20,000 of my own money into this business and 75,000 of the banks, but everything since has been bought and paid for by the business, not by the Bank of Jono.
Okay, so by that I mean you're cash flowing. You're paying for the improvements with the cash flow from the business rather. Okay,
Correct.
gotcha. Okay, so you say, hey, I think these numbers are going to add up. I think we can make these improvements. Was there anything else that attracted you to the business aside from it seems like a reasonable price point. It seems like an honest seller. It seems like, we've got several years left on the lease. What else it gave you the confidence to go for it and pull the trigger?
It really comes down back to that investing why around I want to be able to choose how much of my time I give to other people for money. And that helped me set this really strong criteria. So that was really it. It met the criteria. It was really conveniently located and at the right price point. Um, so we had to go.
Yeah, and so here's something that is already generating cash flow. Customers already know about it. Hopefully, it's part of their weekly or monthly routine to come in and use the place. It's relatively predictable. I imagine there may be some seasonality to it, but it's not. You got to spend some money up front, but it's not likely to go to zero the next day. So let's say you get the keys to the place and what happens next? Like, are you surprised by what happens in the first few months, or or does it work out kind of how you expected?
I was surprised to learn that his numbers were pretty honest. So what he was reporting in his tax return and the first 3 months of operations was near enough to what he was saying the business was doing.
Okay.
I went about making improvements straight away. So one of the things that really stood out to me was that it was a cash only coin operated laundromat. There wasn't any pay pass options, and in Australia, it just doesn't fly not having pay pass or cashless card payments as an option. So I actually organised that to be installed during the due diligence process, and that made an impact almost straight away because people were happy to come in, not have to break a note or go to an ATM. They can just tap their card, and it took a bit of learning from the customers. But once a few customers knew how to do it, they started teaching other customers, and we got the right signage in, and that was probably one of the biggest improvements. The second one was building a website. So again, is an elderly gentleman who used to own the place, wasn't interested in marketing, didn't know much about the internet. So it didn't actually have a website, and it had a resident generated Google My Business page that didn't even have the right business name on it. So yeah, that was the second thing that I did, and it made a huge difference straight away.
This is ninaslaundry.com.au if you want to go check out what a local laundromat website might look like. So and that was something too during the due diligence to say, well, there's not a lot of online presence here. Maybe there's an opportunity to increase just the people who know about the store. Like if we could increase market share of people coming by and they come and Google us or they look for a laundromat near me, maybe they're going to be more likely to find this than they were before.
Yeah, for sure. That really helped. I think the other thing was I mentioned before adding technology or value through adding technology in my skill set. I work in marketing automation. That's my job or my day job. And I'm a sort of generalist digital marketer as well. So one of the things that I really noticed was that laundromats don't really have a high bar of expectation. So people who come in and use a laundromat, they expect the place to be somewhat clean and the machines to work. So if you put coins in a machine or you pay for a machine, it doesn't work. You have a lot of anxiety because there's no one there to help you, or in a self-service laundromat. So one of the first things we did is we added cameras with a speaker in them and added QR codes to all the machines. That basically said if you're having an experience that's not the one that you want to, if the machine leaks, if there's a payment issue, scan this, fill out the form, and we'll help you out. And the cool thing about that is the form comes straight to my phone via email. If I'm available, I'll get onto it straight away, and I can either turn the cameras on and speak to the customer directly through the camera and talk them through
Oh,
a
wow. This
problem.
is like through a ring cam or something like that.
Yeah. Google Nest.
Okay.
Or I can call them or email them and just give them that reassurance that, hey, sorry, the machine didn't work the way it was. We're happy to give you a refund. If you can provide a little more information about what's going on, we can troubleshoot from our side. And that just leaves a much better customer experience that 99% of laundromats aren't going to offer.
And they're not going to offer. So there was some additional infrastructure investments. First, with this adding the cashless payment systems, and and then this technology layer of like the cameras and the customer support that maybe wasn't there before.
Yep.
I want to go back to the cashless payment things. It sounds like,
Sure.
is this a matter of retrofitting the machines? Is this like just a load a prepaid card at some kiosk in the entryway? Trying to
Yeah.
get a
So
picture of.
yeah, we have a third party company that will install a kiosk. There's a touchscreen pad, and then they have chips that I'm assuming run off some sort of radio waves that are added to each machine and will load up or pulse the coin mechanism when people pay. So you touch the screen, you select, I want to wash. You can choose as many washes to add to the payment as you want, and then you hit pay, tap your card, and then the machine will pulse the machines that you've chosen to use. Same
Okay,
with the dryers.
how many machines are in there?
I have 12
Gosh, it seems like
washers,
12. It seems
and
like 12 commercial washers could be, I mean, a big chunk of the purchase price just in equipment.
yeah, I think so, and also infrastructure. So I've looked at other deals. Recently, I looked at one for about $200,000, and it was only 2 years old. So the machines probably would have cost that much or a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then there's also the infrastructure to connect to sewerage, and they had cameras in there already and things like that. So the purchase price actually seemed quite reasonable when you think about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you're not having to do in addition to just like the 0 to 1, like getting a business to lift off. But there's a lot of stuff that comes with just as a as a way to protect yourself. Where it's like, well, if even if it fails, like I still have now this asset that I
Mm.
or these machines as assets.
It's a
Um,
unique time in Australia too, because a lot of or all of the washing equipment is made overseas. A lot of it in the States, and obviously with the global supply chain issues, there's a long time for machines to get here. So there's even more of a premium almost on buying a setup store
yeah.
because those machines are already here and you don't have to wait.
So having it automated, I want to get into like the automation of the store, like not having somebody required to be sitting there on staff for customer support and troubleshooting and stuff. But as far as the machines and their maintenance, what does that look like workload for you? Wise, I'm working my marketing job 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, and like if something breaks, like or do you have the expertise to go in and troubleshoot the stuff yourself? You're calling the repair guy, just give me a sense of the longevity or bulletproofness of these types of machines. Like what's required on a daily or weekly basis.
Sure. Well, according to the manufacturers, the shelf life's about 7 years, but I can safely say that it's well beyond that. These machines are. I mean, I've got machines in there. We are getting rid of them, but they're 40 years old and
Oh
they're
my
still
gosh.
running.
Okay.
The newer machines, obviously, they all run fine. Like occasionally, you might have an issue where something gets stuck in the door and a washer will flood, but that's not a break. That's just a user error, and you come and mop it up. The dryers do have sometimes issues with things getting stuck in the filter or a part might break. But Dexter, which is the company that makes the machines, has a whole bunch of YouTube videos that show you how to troubleshoot. And our distributor in Australia also has a 24-hour helpline. So you can get on the phone to them and they'll troubleshoot with you over the phone. And if I can't fix it myself through that, then I'll call someone out to fix it.
Okay. And then as far as unlocking and locking the door, like do you have to show up at 7 a.m. or whenever it opens in the morning and we're open for business, and then I just do that on my way to work, or is it like there's maybe an automated way to unlock and
I
say we're
think the
open?
previous owner would have had to do that, and I feel very sorry for him. No, the lock is on a electronic um, mechanism that engages when the electricity's on, and disengages when the electricity's off. And then I've plugged
Okay.
that into a Wi-Fi PowerPoint or an app controlled PowerPoint. So that's on a timer.
Okay. So, it opens at closing time. Does it ever like lock anybody in there at closing time? Is it like, hey,
So you can't get locked in. The way that the lock works is the lock engages on the outside, but if you're in the store, you can still turn the knob to get out.
okay. And then you've got the
So
cameras going to see like if anybody is vandalizing your place. So it just seems like, well, it's very trusting to like just, oh, we're open for business. Nobody's here, but you can come on in.
yeah, that's essentially it. We've also got alarm set up. So if people try to tamper with the coin box, even though there's barely anything in it, and
Yeah.
or try and get out the back or whatever, there is like alarm set up so that if people try to break in, that'll go off and let us know and let the police know. But by and large, it's a community space that people really respect.
Yeah, that's true. It's become, by going cashless, it becomes less of an attractive target. Well, there's not a ton of money sitting here, anyways.
Yeah. About 70 to 80% of our payments are made on card.
That was us in Japan. It was probably the last automated laundromat that we went to several years ago when our oldest was like 3 months old. And we went to this automated laundromat. And it was probably the first time experiencing something like that. Yeah, just nobody works here. Just you go in, you do your thing, and you go out, and it works. And it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And maybe think about who's owning this place, right? They got the passive income dream right now, and the machines are doing the work for them. What does it look like? Talk to me about the online presence that you build, because I know there's a big component of spreading the marketing awareness um, of the location. So talk to me beyond just the website and the branding that has gone into that, but like anything local SEO wise. I'd love to spend some time on that.
Yeah. So the principle for any real local service is that you want to show up when people are Googling your service. So laundromat near me, laundromat Northcote. Those are the keywords that I've been really trying to target through paid Google at the start, and then SEO more recently. In February, we had a dedicated SEO strategy that we commenced, and it almost instantly saw hockey stick growth for our business. So I think by the end of February, we were second on Google and into the map pack, and then we started looking at getting reviews and all the kind of best practice SEO things around utilizing my Google business profile, and just building backlinks, making sure that the landing pages are all set up to target the right keywords. And it took a couple of months, but the keyword that we were really trying to rank for was Laundromat Northcote. We would say that the strategy was complete when we'd ranking number one for Laundromat Northcote, because there's about 6 laundromats in Northcote and we wanted to be number one.
Okay, yeah,
And that happened in September, so like last
oh,
month,
great.
the month before.
The climb to the top has worked. Well, let's dive into this. So 3 segments: the paid search to start, the SEO, and getting reviews. Talk to me about the paid search. So just targeting that same keyword or variations of it, I'm assuming, and just trying to. Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. Being able to jump the line, so to speak, to say, "Hey, we are what you're looking for."
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people, almost all the people I speak to in the store, ask them, how'd you find out about us? Most will say Google, and the ones that don't say that they live like 2 streets down.
Okay.
So it definitely has helped. Paid Google ads, especially because we had just created the website, so we didn't have any domain authority, we didn't have any data running through the ads. We really needed that boost to get to the top. We didn't have any reviews either.
Yeah.
So that was really important. I think over the long term, though, I found that uh, paid Google is really effective for pickup and delivery. So we have a boutique pickup and delivery commercial laundry service, and that was really good for generating leads for that service. But for
Do you just send
the
people like on the paid search? Do you just send people to the assuming it's a consumer looking for laundry service, like are you sending them to the just the homepage, or are you sending them to like a new customer special offer page, or anything more granular than that?
Just a landing page about the service. So we didn't have any particular offers or anything like that. We were just saying,
Okay.
hey, we're a commercial laundry service. These are our rates. These are the type of clients that we work with. And yeah, we're generating really like strong leads almost right off the bat. Um, like I said, we're a boutique service. The reason that I run a commercial laundry service is so that I can do that while I clean the store. I choose to clean the store. I haven't offloaded every part of the service because I wanted to keep my margins fairly strong, and I live nearby and cleaning doesn't take long.
Okay. And so while you're in there, you're adding these larger commercial loads to the machines as they're available.
Yeah, so I'll do towels for an osteo, a local osteo, and while I'm sweeping and mopping and wiping down the machines, I've also got a load of towels in one of the machines and move them over to the dryers. And by the time they're finished in the dryers, I've finished mopping and all the chores I need to do at the laundromat, and I can head home.
So this was another lever that you were able to pull instead of just going business to consumer, targeting, individuals and families like needing their laundry done, saying, oh, we can target business customers for higher, higher volume, higher ticket, or maybe more consistent things too. Like we're going to have towels this week, we're going to have towels next week. Like that makes a lot of sense. And that's something that, a lot of businesses can think about, whether it's a laundromat or anything else. It's like, okay, well, who are the whales of the customers? Like who are the bigger fish to go after? It sounds like these more commercial accounts was one of these elements that allowed you to increase the revenue.
For sure. And it also meant that I could be disciplined in having to clean the place because the cleaning bill would have been somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 out of my pocket. Instead, I'm cleaning, keeping that money in my pocket, and I'm also generating an extra, $25,000 a year from washing these people's towels.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you'd have to hire somebody to take on that work if it wasn't you.
Yep.
Do you have an estimate of the hours that you're putting into it on that physical labor side rather than the puppet master digital marketer side?
About 5 hours a week ish,
Okay, that's not bad.
5 to 7 to keep the place clean and pick up all and drop off all the laundry.
Yeah, for something that is now in the 12 to 15,000 a month range revenue wise.
Uh, 15 to 20. Yeah,
15 to, yeah. No, go ahead, Tucci.
1,500 to 2,000.
Absolutely. I want to, I don't want to like overstate you. So, of course, if it's higher, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about $2,000 a month.
Yeah, that's great. Um, okay, so that was the paid search, the SEO. So, building out the website, creating, the content for that local targeted keyword. Anything else that you had to do, like local citations? Are those still a thing? Like trying to add your business to other directories and point back to the website?
Yeah, that's how I started. I'm not an SEO expert by any means, but I knew that high domain authority backlinks is where we need to start. So a lot of directories, a lot of looking for local opportunities. So local council have a business directory, and that was where I started. But I reached out to a third party who knew what they were doing. So I've got an agency that I work with, and they're every month putting in 15 hours to strengthen our web presence, concentrating on really particular keywords.
Okay. And then on the review side, um, talk to me about how you've been collecting customer reviews for Google, and if you're focusing on any other sites there, or it's primarily Google My Business.
Yeah, primarily Google My Business. The way that we started was obviously reaching out to family and friends and, hey, I bought a laundromat, come and do your washing and then review our service, please.
Yeah.
From there, I added the added benefit of cleaning the laundromat or being present at the laundromat is you get to meet and talk to customers. So every time you meet someone, you learn a little bit more about their journey. And I've been going to this laundromat for 5 years, and I really love what you're doing with the place. Great that you've got card now. It's so much cleaner than it used to be. Like, hey, can you let people know about it? Can you leave a review? And that really helped. I think for the first kind of 5 to 6 months, it was me asking people, can you do a review? I remember once talking to someone who they'd driven about 5 kilometers to get to our laundromat, and
Okay.
we're in the inner city of Melbourne. 6 million people live in this city, so they would have had to pass at least like 3 or 4 laundromats to get to ours, and they came because of the reviews. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, could you guys leave one too, because it'll help other people find us.
Yeah, I'm looking at Google, at least at press time here, 68 reviews, 4.9 stars. People love this place.
Yeah, one star review from
No,
someone who was bitter, and I reckon that's more they don't like me than they don't like the laundromat.
they're ruining your perfect 5-star rating.
Yeah, I think the other really exciting thing is that more recently I've started to get organic 5-star reviews. So especially in the last week, I think we've had 2 come in that I don't remember talking to the person or asking them to do a review. But they left a 5-star review and spoke about how they really like the space, they like the music that we play. They've been
Okay.
coming for a long time. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's fun. And I mean, it's like, hey, you're waiting for your clothes to dry anyways. Here, you can do it right on your phone. If you're striking up that conversation in there, it's a relatively easy ask if somebody is happy with the service.
For sure. And if you put in the effort, I suppose every industry is different. But if you look at the map pack for us, there's the other people in the map pack. The closest number of reviews to us is about 28. So I think we're 40
Okay,
ahead of our next closest.
nice. Yeah, don't underestimate the power of those reviews just in like social proof to make it a no-brainer decision for anybody searching. Just like, well, clearly these are the ones you got to go with because they're just head and shoulders above everybody else.
The
Anything
other
else?
benefit about reviews as
Sorry, go ahead.
well, sorry, the other benefit about reviews as well that a lot of people don't recognize is that they are an awesome place to stuff your website with keywords. So when people review you on Google My Business, they'll put the word laundromat, laundry, coin laundry in their review. And if they don't necessarily include the right keywords that you want, you have the right to reply to all of those reviews. So you can start to add keywords in your reply.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks so much for stopping by our Northcote laundromat just to make sure that it's in there each and every time.
Yeah.
The pictures on the Google profile, are those ones that you've added or these are ones that customers have put in?
It's 2 or 3 of them are ones that I've added, and some are ones that customers have added.
One of the marketing tips that was shared on the show recently was treating that Google My Business profile almost like you would social media and trying to post constant updates, like several times a week in some cases, to feed that algorithm with more data and more to chew on. And Google was rewarding the businesses that were doing that. Have you played around with that at all or seen any impact from it?
We did at the start. I mean, there's only so many photos of an unattended laundromat that you can take. It's not like we're at the store washing clothes and we can do fun things.
Yeah.
I have more recently made some sort of how-to videos, which we're planning on putting on there. I suppose from a picture point of view, what I did notice when we added pictures that was our views went up. We had a lot more views on our Google business profile, but I didn't necessarily see too much of an uptake in people asking for directions or revenue or things like that.
Yeah, that's something that personally, when I'm looking for a new place to go, especially with the kids, like I want to look at the pictures and see, like, trying to figure out, okay, where am I supposed to go? How is this going to work once I get there? Trying to like almost do a pre-visit walkthrough without having to go make the trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got to make things, especially if there's an unattended, you have to make it as easy as possible for people. Because as much as once you've set up your store, as much as you know how things work, um, you built it or you're there all the time. So you got to assume that people don't know it's their first time. They don't know how to pay by card. They don't know that you have to go to the kiosk at the back of the store and hit wash, then pay and load up your machine. You
Okay.
need to provide as much sort of visual prompt or information for people to do that as possible. So Google My Business Profile is a great place to have a video if that's where people are finding you to show them how to use the washing machines and dryers or pay by card.
Yeah, here's how it works. Here's how make it dummy proof in that way.
Yeah.
So you're a year and a half into being a side hustling laundromat owner. What's surprised you the most over that time?
Whoa. I think the thing that surprised me the most was how much infrastructure or how important infrastructure is to a laundromat business in particular. The building that I'm in, it was super old. So every time that I wanted to do something like adding a new machine or um, moving stuff around, we would run into issues where I didn't have the right type of PowerPoint for a bigger machine because this was built 50 years ago, and the power requirements for machines back then were way less. So those are like some little things that kind of shocked me.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm not a tradie, so I don't know much about electricity requirements or things like that. But outside of that, I think the thing that really shocked me was just how much of an impact having a strong web presence, and how low the bar to success is to run a really successful laundromat, or the expectation of customers.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one to see, of all the different levers that you can pull. And if you're shopping businesses or even working on your own side hustle, like just checking some of these boxes that other businesses may have overlooked. It's like, oh, it's 2022. It's almost 2023. Like having even a basic brochure style website is pretty easy to go and do. And, I'm trying to make it almost reverse engineer. Well, how are people going to find this unless they live 2 blocks away, like the guy you mentioned? They're going to probably find it through Google. So having a presence there, going after these commercial accounts, trying to go for bigger ticket sales rather than one-off washes. I think that makes a lot of sense, even if it does take up some time initially, and maybe down the road you hire that out. But what's next for you? Are you going to build an empire of these things? A Melbourne-wide domination, Australia-wide domination. What's next for Nina's?
I think so. I think the goal will be to buy another laundromat in the next sort of 12 to 18 months. I'm not in a rush, but if the right deal came across the table and I could find one that met that criteria that I was talking about before, um, similar to what Nina's has set up, I think that that's the logical next step.
Yeah, you got yourself 9 years left on your timeline to hit your goal. I think you've got plenty of leeway to get that done. Is there a point where you see revenue wise this becomes a full time thing and you call it quits at the day job?
I've done some paper maths, and I think that four would be the right number of laundromats where that could be my full time job comfortably. In saying that, though, I work for a really great company at the moment that has amazing opportunities and really supports the growth of their team and outside interests from work.
Yeah,
So I don't think I'll be quitting my day job anytime soon.
all good. No pressure on that front. I was going to ask, is there a way that you think about or target the profitability on a per wash basis, or per month? Like if I take in $5 worth of washing credits, and after my utilities and machine costs, like I hope to have $3 left over or something like that.
Not necessarily like that, but in terms of making decisions around how to improve the business or how to what to invest in next, i.e., buying bigger machines or getting solar power, starting a commercial service. The the preface around that is I want the business to maximize the amount of money each customer spends per visit. So if I'm investing in something, we put it through that litmus test. Is that going to help us increase the average spend per customer per visit? And that's how I can sort of gauge whether that's something I can do now or something I sort of wait on. And I'll give you an example. We bought a vending machine almost straight away after buying the store. And the reason that we got the vending machine is because people forget their laundry detergent, and we can have laundry detergent for sale at a significant markup that people need out of convenience.
Okay.
So by doing that, we can increase the spend per customer per visit. Then in that vending machine, it's got other places, so we add snacks. So now people are paying for a wash, a dry, a laundry detergent, and a can of Coke. Um, then what PayPass also enabled us to do was to program the machine to have multiple vendor prices. So rather than just having one type of wash on the washing machine, we now have an express wash, which is the regular everyday wash,
Okay.
and a super wash, which is an extra couple of minutes on the cycle. Again, just another opportunity to increase the customer spend per visit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's super common when I go through like the drive-through car wash. It's like, good, better, best, and they all have clever names like, Ultimate Supreme, and it comes with this, it's an extra thing. And basically you're sitting in the machine longer. They put some clear coat wax on you. I don't know what they do, but similar, like you're giving, adding a higher ticket menu offering, like it kind of anchors the price there. Like, well, okay, I could just do express today, but oh, my clothes are really dirty. I want the full meal deal.
Yeah, on the dryer side as well. So the dryers are $1 for 7 minutes. If you're paying by coins, you physically adding $1, and you might get to $4 and be like, I need this extra dollar. I'm going to keep it. Whereas with the PayPass, it starts at 5, and then you can move up or down. So for the lazy person, or for most people in a rush, they just tap the thing, hit dryer, hit 5. Yeah, 5 sounds about right. Hit go.
Yeah,
So
35 minutes worth of dry time. Okay.
the average spend for a customer is more on when they're paying by card because the start price is 5, not 1.
Okay. Isn't that cool? I don't know. It's like you're playing Puppet Master in a way of like, oh, what are the different levers that we can pull to increase the value of this asset that we already have, and versus trying to get something off the ground. It's like there's already like you can almost already A/B test. Like if you had a website, already got traffic flowing through it. What if we tweak this variable, or what if we added this little thing, and you kind of see almost immediately the impact that it has. Very exciting stuff. And John, I appreciate you sharing the ins and outs from it. Again, it's Nina's Laundrette. We'll link up that website if you want to check it out in the show notes. Any other place where people should go to learn more about you, what you do?
If people want to get in touch, I have a LinkedIn page. I'm sure that'll be in the show notes as well. Otherwise, they can reach out to me directly on the Nina's Laundrette website.
You got it. We're happy to link that up. Jono, appreciate you joining me. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation. Does not have to be laundromat related, just whatever entrepreneurial wisdom that you'd like to impart.
Yeah, get a Audible subscription and listen to audiobooks about business and emotional intelligence.
All right, there you go. Well, very good. Once again, thanks for joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Nick.